The big thing, the most important thing is lots of well-rotted organic matter. This is very rotted horse bedding. It's probably 10 years old or something like that. Very well rotted, and then we have a bag of peat that we're going to get some peat. We're going to mix those together. We're going to put a lot of this in the soil. We're going to put not much of the native soil. The soil's sand. We're going to have like over 65% of it be the well-rotted bedding and the peat and the amendments, okay? We do have just a little bit, not much, just kind of like, just for good measure, a little bit of compost and char, but we can't go too heavy on that at all because we don't want to raise the pH. You know, maybe we could have done a little more than that. We didn't test the pH on this stuff, but just to be sure, 50% char, 50% compost from the North Carolina biochar plant at Grandview, and for that we're going to mix some of this in, just for starters, and then we will put the amendments in. We're going to use a fair amount of alfalfa meal. You can see that this has not been cover cropped and not been built up for this, and so we want to put like a half gallon of this, quite a bit of alfalfa meal. It's kind of like it's our you know, our substitute for not having a great cover crop. It's lots of readily available sugars and lots of minerals. This is seaweed. We're not going to use a whole lot of that at all. Just a little bit of trace minerals from it is what we want. The reason not to use a lot is it's pretty high salt. If I was doing asparagus, I might use a whole lot more. Asparagus can handle the salts. But that is just for a little bit of mineral diversity, a little bit of dynamism. There's all kinds of things in seaweed that help plants to grow. I put in about 2/3 of a cup. Probably more like half a cup. Half a cup is probably safer, and then I probably did more like half a cup. And then this is Symphony, pasteurized, pasteurized by the process of pelletizing it. Chicken manure and bedding. And to this we're going to put probably 2 cups in. And then we have azomite. Azomite is A to Z minerals. And once again, we don't want to change the pH, so we're going to go pretty light on that. But we want to put a little bit in, just to offer some diversity. This is about 1/4 cup of azomite. We're going to mix that up. You're going to fill this up with the rest of the way, or slowly while mixing it through, right? With that bedding. And then we'll go get some peat and fill it in with that too. We're going to mix this bucket up thoroughly with bedding and peat. We can also mix it in the hole. All this is for one plant with lots and lots of bedding, and I'm assuming I made a hole that's going to hold more than 5 gallons. If I didn't, I'll make the hole a little bigger. That's the plan. It's pretty darn. It's much wider than a 5-gallon bucket, and about 2/3 is deep. So I think it's going to take like 12 gallons or something like that, and that's why I can use that much stuff. If I was making a smaller hole, I'd use much less stuff. We tried to get this peat a little wet. It's not easy to get peat wet, but we just turned the hose on and soaked it a bunch before we start it. Some places will be a little wetter than others. Not very wet, but we'll add more water to it.
Yeah?
Well, because I'm adding the water, just keep going. Because it's not all peat that's there. That's good. We'll just dump that bucket into the hole and mix it up, and then we'll see if the hole needs to be bigger. We definitely want more than 5 gallons of stuff if we're putting all that stuff in there. We don't want to make it too rich. Yeah, we might want to make the hole a little bigger. Expand.
Wider?
Yeah, a little wider. Yeah, I don't think it needs to be much deeper, but a little wider. Key point is that this hole doesn't have to be this big, but we have an abundance of wonderful, well-rotted organic material, so that's why we're making the hole so big, because we can. If lots of times all you have to really make soil acid enough is peat, and that's pretty expensive. I've made much smaller holes, and it's worked fine. But if I could make a nice bigger hole, I will. It's the old thing about a a $10 hole for a 50-cent plant or whatever, you know. The hole is the thing that you can afford to make big. So, but if you don't have a lot of material to alter the soil with, then with blueberries, I don't know how valuable that is. It's really, we're using the peat and the well-rotted horse bedding to create a more acid environment for these plants and a high organic matter environment. Yeah. And you have to get every last bit of sand out because we're going to mix some of that sand in anyways, and that grass that gets in there, yep, it's just more food for the plant, you know. So we're going to get some well-rotted horse bedding now.
Whole bucket? How much do you want?
Looks like we can use at least 60% of a bucket, and then the rest would be sand, roughly, I think. We'll see. The more we can use, the better. That's probably good. Yeah. Okay, yeah, it looks about right. And then mix that in with some sand, and then we'll make a hole within that we'll plant the plant, you know. So, I mean, I think the gray soil is the better stuff here. It's the topsoil. Such as it is, makes us grateful for that North Carolina clay, doesn't it?
Right.
It's a much harder row to hoe here as far as getting fertility when you're working with the sand. And of course, the best is going to be the stuff where the grass was growing, the roots. There's the plant exudates in there, you know. Yeah, and then mix it in really well. A number one rule I always recommend is water your plants before you plant. It makes it easier on the plant as it comes out. And then in case you forget to water it once it's in, at least the plant's been watered, you know. So before you plant, soak all your plants. You know what, Simon? You're done here. Bye-bye, buddy. Go on. Simon, go on. Go on. And okay, people love to break up the bottom of their, you know, root ball if it's really root bound. This is not, and there's nothing wrong with doing that, but don't get carried away. Sometimes people come in and they go, oh, I gotta free these roots, and they'll just totally destroy the root ball, and that really shocks the plant, you know. Just a little bit of making sure it's not going around in circles is fine. You know, you don't have to really rack your root ball all to heck, because what you're doing is disturbing the roots. They're gonna get the water to the plant, so you want to be careful there. Okay. All right, so set it in. It's okay if it's slightly depressed right where it goes in, but you want to have it not too depressed. You don't want to have it sunk, you know. A little depression right at it, but then mounded just above it is all the better. And that's what we're going to aim for here. And firm it really well. And then you got a little depression beyond it too is fine, you know. For the first two years, you don't let it, you knock the flowers off. If it goes to berries, you're wasting energy, you know. So just knock the flowers off for the first 2 years. And then it's developing its roots, and it's getting a whole lot better. Well, I think we're about done here. I think we got one blueberry in.